In today's society, almost everything we do centers through the internet. Every industry uses the internet to communicate and deliver goods and services. While it is so intricate to our way of life, many of us do not know exactly what the internet is. The interworking components are complex, but this video will break down the basic mechanics of the internet in a way that will prove very useful for those who have little knowledge of the field. So let's delve into what it really is. What is the internet? The internet is actually a series of interconnected systems of wires and computers that span the globe. These systems are owned by internet service providers or ISPs like Comcast and Metronet. The book How the Internet Works by Preston Gralla tells us these companies provide the infrastructure and actual internet access for monthly fees. These ISPs are interconnected, which allows for the huge connectivity that is seen between devices all over the world. Following transmission along the actual wires from the ISPs, the data is commonly converted into a wireless signal through modems and routers, commonly found in houses. This is the Wi-Fi that your devices connect to in order to access the internet. These networks consist of a web of wires connected by devices called routers that form larger nodes into which these wires connect and transfer data back and forth. Routers are small, fast computers that read incoming messages in order to determine which other routers to pass the information to. It will eventually reach the final destination at which the data is processed and sent back along a similar system, which we will explore in detail later. For now, let's make a comparison. Imagine a letter leaves a postal center in West Lafayette and is destined for an apartment in New York City. The post office in West Lafayette has no idea where the apartment in New York is. This means there must be intermediate exchange points for the mail in the form of downstream distribution centers. One of these next stops may be, for example, in Ohio. They receive the parcel to be sorted and redistributed to the next postal office on the chain to New York. This type of pathfinding and forwarding is repeated until the letter reaches its final hub in New York, where it is then directed to the final apartment. The way this specific post office knows the exact destination of the mail is a representation of how a router works for the internet. One router will forward data to the next in the direction of the final destination, usually a device. The wires of the internet are similar to the logistical methods used by postal service to transport the mail from one center to another. When the internet is expected to span to another continent, it is transferred along large undersea cables rather than boats. Now, we will explore how the internet actually communicates when opening web pages. Using the internet often comes in the form of a web page. So what exactly happens when we request a web page like Facebook.com? This is a very long process that happens in a relatively small amount of time. In its most basic form, this system is the passing of messages between your computer and another one. This final computer you are communicating with is referred to as a server. The specific server in question would be owned by Facebook, and based on the request you made, a response will return from the server in the form of the Facebook web page. The request translates Facebook.com to a number called an IP address, and Stephen Lee tells us that 2 to the 32 addresses exist on the internet. Once the request is returned with the IP address of Facebook.com, your computer can make the request for the Facebook web page. The request is sent to your respective router, which reads the message destination, the IP address, and determines the next location, sending the message to the next router. This process occurs until Facebook's server is finally reached. The server analyzes your request for Facebook's web page and returns a response. The response message is returned to your computer from the server in the same manner it was sent. Here, we reviewed the actual infrastructure of the internet and how it operates. We saw how it is actually made up of wires and interconnected computers working in unison to transmit messages back and forth in similar formats. This is done the same way the postal service moves mail around the world, but happens at the astonishing speeds of the electricity traveling through the wires. This complex, connected structure is what allows for the rapid data and information sharing we currently see in the modern age. It is ever evolving and will only become quicker, with its reach being felt much further than we ever thought possible before.